Hello again, friends, and welcome back to my channel. It is one of my favorite times of the year. Summer is upon us. If you're like me, you have lots of summer plans to get outside, get in the water, go hiking, go for walks, just do lots of fun outdoor stuff that we can do during summer. I live to be out and in the sun. However, any time of year, but especially in summer, sunscreen is so important to use to protect your skin and keep yourself safe. That being said, every year I always get lots of questions regarding sunscreen and body piercings. Is it safe to use? How should I use it? What's the deal? So let's talk about it today. It's no secret, sunscreen is one of the most important things you can put on your face as part of any skincare routine, as part of any acne routine, as just part of anything to keep your skin happy and healthy, and that goes the same for piercings and also tattoos. We still want to use sunscreen with these things. Now that being said, there's still some situations where we should take some extra consideration with sunscreen, so let's talk about the do's and the don'ts. I'm going to talk about fully healed piercings first, because those are a little bit easier. When it comes to anything that's fully healed, you got your nostrils, you got your lobes, you got whatever, you can put sunscreen right on it, over it, around it, whatever works best for you. Now I will say from personal and professional experience, I do find that thicker cream sunscreens can sometimes get built up on jewelry. It can clog the jewelry and just make it look not as bright and shiny, or you can end up with clumps of it built up under your skin or under the jewelry against your skin, which is not always great and for some people can cause irritation. Because of this, I really like using spray sunscreens. I always get something with a nice high SPF, and for my body piercings, I just spray right over, and then I'll spray a little extra on my hands, and I'll just rub the area around my piercings to make sure that I've got it all. When it comes to face sunscreens, there are some facial sunscreens that do come in a spray as well. I'm a really big fan of the Neutrogena sunscreens and also the Super Goop. And for those, I'll do my regular spray and then I'll put some on my hands and I'll actually get it all around my nostril jewelry, around my anchors, around my lip piercings, just really make sure that I'm still covering that skin. When I'm done for the day and I'm out of the sun, I'll make sure that I clean everything off really well, and I'll go over my piercings usually with a Q-tip and some saline or a little gauze and some saline and just clean off any residue from the sunscreen. If you have jewelry that's bigger or fancier and you did end up getting it super clogged with sunscreen, I really like using a water pick to clean that off. You don't even have to remove your jewelry. You use it on a low setting with some warm water, and make sure you use a separate head from the one you use for your teeth. And I'll just go ahead and give my piercings a once over with a water pick. Now, while we're still on the topic of healed piercings, I want to take a second to talk about stretched lobes, because every year without fail, someone messages me who got really bad sunburn on their stretched lobes. If you've ever gotten a bad sunburn, you know that it's really easy to remember to put sunscreen on your body and on your face, but it is sometimes tricky to remember to put sunscreen on your ears, and you end up burning the ridges on the side of your ear, the tops of your ear. The same thing can happen to your stretched lobes. So anytime I'm going out in the sun, I put sunscreen all over my ears and also all over my lobes. My lobes tend to be more sensitive, and I usually have my hair pulled back when I'm out in the sun, and I don't always wear a hat, so I like to use a stronger SPF on my ears, and I like to use something that's titanium based, as for me and my skin, I find that that gives me the best sun protection possible. And I'll just take that on my fingers and I'll make sure I rub it on everything. If I know I'm going to be spending a really long time out in the sun, like I'm going to be kayaking for 4 or 5 hours, I'll actually take my plugs off and apply sunscreen all over my stretched lobes and then pop my plugs back in, just to make sure 150% of the way that I've got it all over my lobes, because I really would like to never know what a sunburn on my stretched lobes feel like. I've burned the tops of my ears as a child and it was not great, so we're trying to avoid doing that. Now obviously this is all for healed piercings, but what about if you have piercings that are still healing? What do you do then? Well, getting sunscreen in a still healing piercing could cause irritation and irritation bumps. However, getting a sunburn on a still healing piercing will also cause irritation and irritation bumps to happen. So this leaves us in a little bit of a catch-22 where we really have to look at the situation and see, what the best option will be. I do really like spray sunscreens more than cream sunscreens. You can do a very light spray over a piercing that's still healing just to make sure you have something on the skin, but I find that it tends to get less built up than those cream sunscreens. B, you can use alternative methods of protecting yourself from the sun. So let's say you've got still brand new paired nostrils and you're going to be going out for a day walking around in the city. Consider wearing a hat to shade your face and putting sunscreen everywhere else and just leaving a little barrier around your piercings. Now, that's not always feasible, so you may have to make the decision between sunscreen and just leaving it up to the sun. You know your body well. If you know that you're not going to be out in the sun for that long, or you know like how you typically burn and you feel safe just putting sunscreen up to the area but not directly around the healing piercing, go for it. On the flip side, if you know yourself and you know that you burn easily, you're going to be out in the sun for a very long time, I would take spray sunscreen and apply it all over. And if you're worried about missing spots around your piercings, you can spray it on a Q-tip to be a little extra gentle and just kind of dab it on around your still healing piercing. Whenever you're done with your events for the day, please clean your piercing very well. Make sure you wash up all your sunscreen, get a nice good shower, and then take some saline on a Q-tip or just some saline spray and clean the piercing itself very thoroughly to make sure that there's no traces of sunscreen left behind on your piercing or on the jewelry. And if you notice some irritation forming afterwards, if you notice redness or swelling or tenderness or even the dreaded bump, reach back out to your piercer, let them know what happened, let them know that you use sunscreen, and they'll be able to advise you some extra care and cleaning to help with that irritation. Normally it'll clear up on its own in a couple of weeks, sometimes as long as a month, depending on how irritated it got. But if I'm being honest, the irritation from a little tiny bit of sunscreen on your piercing is typically preferable to the irritation of a really serious sunburn, so take that into consideration when you're planning for your day. But the good news is, once your piercing is fully healed, you really don't have to worry about this anymore. Again, you can just apply sunscreen all over. If you really like glob it onto your piercing and leave it there, a healed piercing might get a little grumpy. So, you know, common sense, don't leave giant globs of sunscreen all over your piercings when you go out. But skin protection is really important. Summer is obviously one of the most important times for us to be protecting our skin and wearing sunscreen, and there are many ways to do this safely with your piercings. I hope this video helps, and I hope we all have a really fun summer out in the sun. I hope we all wear our sunscreen and none of us get burnt. And if you have any further questions about sunscreen and piercings, or if you'd like to see me cover this on my blog, let me know in the comments down below. As per usual, if you like the content I'm putting out, it would mean the world to me if you hit liked and subscribe to my channel, and I cannot wait to sit down and chat with y'all soon. Bye!